This week's hidden gem is the Pneumaticstar 900. It's a multi-combination tool, which means that it does more than one job. It is a hidden gem because, in my opinion, it is the best pound-for-pound purchase you can buy when you are looking for something that sews as well as does something else. It has a really good range on it. If you look in the left-hand side of the screen, you will see that it's got a 300 litre capacity, weighs 1.4 tonnes, has a power requirement of 66 kilowatts or 90 brake horsepower. It has a 9 meter wide spread, which is honestly one of the best things about this tool when compared with other seeders. Has a speed limit of 12 kilometers when being used, and it uses the T5 110 tires. It's really good buy because of the cost. It's only £18,000. And that 9 meter spread, when you're starting out and maybe starting on smaller fields, or if you're on a map like I am here at Belleron where the fields aren't necessarily that big, 9 meters is more than enough. It's more than adequate, and with the crops that it sows, yes, they're limited, but they are very profitable crops to sow. You can either sow grass, or you can sow like canola or something like that. And the great thing about that is that, one, they're easy. They're very easy crops to grow. And two, they don't take that many seeds to sow. So 300 litres, whilst it doesn't sound that much, will actually get you pretty far. There is sort of like a weird glitch in the game where you can use a extender and you can kind of fiddle it to make it work, even though it technically shouldn't. But that's later on. 300 litres, honestly, for what you're going to be starting out with, is more than enough. In comparison, the cheapest pure seeder that does have a few more options for crops to sow is the Nordsten HK25 and NS3030. This is in every way worse, in my opinion, than the Pneumaticstar 900. It has a higher power watt requirement at 125 brake horse and 92 kilowatts. It's got double the capacity, so it's got 600 litres as opposed to 300, but when you're dealing in less than 1,000 litres capacity, it's inconsequential. Weighs around the same at 1.4 tonnes, has the same speed limit of 12 kilometers per hour, and the biggest drawback is it's only 3 meters wide, so you're getting 3 times the length, which means you can sow more field quicker with the Pneumaticstar. And the biggest drawback is this is £33,500. So it is near as damn it double what you're paying for the Pneumaticstar. And the Pneumaticstar, again, is a multi-tool. It weeds at the same time as sowing. And when you're doing crops, weeds are your worst enemy. You've either got to weed them when it's at stage 1 or 2, and it can be quite difficult to tell where the weed is, or you've got to use herbicide, which will reduce the amount of yield you get. So being able to weed the ground and tear all those weeds out as you're sowing is a massive win. Let's have a look at how it works, and I will continue talking about why I think it's really good for new players and beginners. Right, so we are currently in our tractor. We've got our weeder seeder, the Pneumaticstar 900, going as we do. The cool thing about this tool is because it is a multi-tool, it has multiple functions. You can use it for just weeding, or you can use it for weeding and seeding. The weeding is automatic when seeding, but the seeding is not automatic. You do have to spawn first. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner, you will see how many seeds you have left. Again, it is just a 300 litre capacity, but honestly, that's kind of fine for a field such as this one on 41, which isn't that big. As you will also see, that canola, it doesn't take a huge amount in order to actually sow the crop, which is really handy. It's one of the reasons why I always try and suggest canola as a starting crop for new players, because it's fairly easy to manage. It doesn't take a lot of planning or anything. You can literally harvest it and then sow it straight away the next month, which is really nice. Obviously, if you're not using seasons, that's not going to be a huge problem for you. So the tool doesn't require a lot of power. It has capacity for seeding. It's a multi-tool. You can weed at the same time, which again helps your yield. And it's got a really nice long width. It's 9 meters long, which again, to get something that sort of long in just a cedar, you're going to be looking at upwards of 100,000, which is really not that advantageous for newer players if you're trying to maximize your profit early game, right? Unless you've bought field 26 on Hewitt Villeron or one of the bigger fields, you're not really going to need a cedar or a weeder that is that big. The price is honestly the biggest win for this piece of equipment. For 18,000, it is just such a bargain. There is a bigger one, but again, it only has a 300 litre capacity, but that one does reach around the 15 metre mark. Like, it is pretty big, but it's also 42,000, so it's quite a lot more. You're not really going to go wrong with either of them, but in my personal opinion, this is better because it is so cheap. And again, with canola, you are making so much more profit because it doesn't take a lot. 300 litres will probably do most, if not all, of this field that I'm currently doing, and this isn't a small field. It's certainly not the smallest on this map. So you will get a fair amount of return. For 300 litres, bearing in mind that the pallets cost 900. For 300 litres, you're going to be making roughly around 10 to 13,000 depending. Once you've got yourself an oil factory and you have the ability to turn that canola into canola oil, I do apologise, it's a bit of a tongue twister, then you will be making double that and you'll be making 20,000. So it's only going to take a couple of harvests for you to make your money back on this purchase, whereas like I said with the cheapest seeder, one, it's going to take you a lot longer to actually seed the entire field. Two, you're going to have to then buy a weeder on top, and the seeder on its own is so much more expensive at 33,500. It is, if you're looking for an early game piece of equipment, this really is a hidden gem, and I don't see enough people using it. Again, you're going to be sort of struggling if you want to do different crops. Like I say, it's very, very limited with the crops that it can produce also, but for early game, canola is the perfect choice in my opinion anyway. So there you have it. Let me know in those comments down below whether you agree or disagree with my take, whether you think this is a really cool piece of equipment or not. I would love to hear your feedback, and if you've got any suggestions for what I should cover next week for the next hidden gem, please, I would love to hear it. Thank you very much for watching. See you all. Ciao, ciao.